Tonight at 10, Israel hands over the bodies of the 23 Palestinians from different areas of the occupied West Bank killed over the past 3 months, but still holds 50 bodies. Terrified families in Ramadi wave white flags as they emerge from their homes as government troops are still battling Daesh terrorists holed up days after the army recaptured the city center. And the world bids 2015 goodbye and ushers in 2016 with fireworks and celebrations. Good evening and a very happy new year. We begin with the weather conditions in the kingdom, which remains under the effect of a polar front that brought considerable amounts of rain during the day. Snow also fell in regions above 1,000 meters nationwide. Civil defense crews were deployed across the country to handle any urgency arising from the weather conditions. The traffic police also called on motorists to exercise extreme caution and limit their movement as much as possible because of snowfall and strong winds. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education has decided to defer tomorrow's Tawjih examination to the 13th at the same time and place. Schools were also ordered to defer mid-year exams slated for tomorrow. And in the southern governorate of Karak, Mota University announced it's postponing exams set for tomorrow till the 16th. Israel transferred 23 Palestinians' bodies to Palestinian towns and villages across the West Bank. Scores of men awaited outside Hebron Hospital for the arrival of 17 bodies. In addition to the bodies received at Hebron, the bodies of 6 other Palestinians were handed over to families in the Ramallah, Nablus and Jenin areas. Israeli forces are still holding the bodies of some 50 Palestinians. Since the start of October, Israeli forces or armed civilians have killed at least 132 Palestinians. A gunman killed 2 people and wounded at least 7 others in central Tel Aviv before fleeing. 2 of the injured are in a serious condition. Security camera footage showed a man in his late 20s wearing eyeglasses and a windbreaker calmly buying vegetables in a store adjacent before pulling a machine pistol from his backpack and stepping onto the pavement, shooting wildly. With the suspect still at large, police declined to offer a motive. A massive police manhunt is underway for the assailant. The gunman was identified by relatives as an Israeli Arab with mental illness. A US-backed alliance of Syrian Kurdish and other fighters advanced against Daesh terrorists in the north of Syria, capturing at least 1 village in Aleppo province. Fighters from the Democratic Forces of Syria seized the village of Tanab near the town of Azaz after heavy clashes with the Al-Qaeda-linked Nusra Front and the Ahrar al-Sham. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the forces also captured the village of Tatmarash. The U.S. military estimates the Democratic Forces of Syria has captured around 1,000 square kilometers of terrain in the past 6 weeks or so, boosted by coalition strikes. And in Iraq, terrified families waved white flags as they emerged from homes reduced to rubble in Ramadi, where government troops were still battling Daesh terrorists holed up today. 5 days after the army recaptured the city center, more than 52 families had been rescued so far in the city. Security forces were using loudspeakers to urge civilians to head toward the advancing troops before calling airstrikes for a U.S.-led coalition on residential blocks still held by the terrorists. One resident of Ramadi said the terrorists had killed 7 people who refused to go with them to another district and were using families as human shields. The presence of civilians was delaying the advance of the troops eastward from the central district they captured. Meanwhile, France carried out airstrikes against oil sites in Syria near Raqqa early today. French Defense Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian said Mirage jets took off in the early hours of today to conduct the airstrikes. Since the November 13 attacks on Paris claimed by Daesh terrorists, France has increased its aerial bombing of Daesh in Syria, focusing on Raqqa and oil-related targets. And the United States and its allies conducted 24 airstrikes against Daesh terrorists in Iraq since yesterday. A statement by the Combined Joint Task Force said the strikes targeted Daesh positions in 7 areas, including near Tel Afar. The strikes destroyed bunkers, culverts, and bridges used by the terrorists. Near Mosul, 3 strikes struck a tactical unit and destroyed heavy machine guns, fighting positions, a weapons cache and a trench. While in Ramadi, 4 strikes hit a large tactical unit and destroyed a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device facility, fighting positions and heavy machine guns. The strikes also targeted Daesh targets near Heat, Kisik, Sinjar and Sultan Abdullah. The Taliban claimed responsibility for a suicide attack today at a restaurant in the Afghan capital Kabul, popular with foreigners and Afghan officials. A 12-year-old boy was killed and more than a dozen others wounded. The explosion hit Lo Jagda, one of a small number of restaurants in Kabul frequented by foreigners. Police and security force personnel blocked off the site, which was partly illuminated by flames from the explosion. Today's attack comes days after the Taliban claimed responsibility for a suicide attack near Kabul airport that killed 1 person and wounded 33 others. German police were hunting for up to 7 people suspected of plotting suicide attacks on people celebrating New Year's Eve in the city of Munich. Some 550 police officers were deployed to hunt down the suspects. The Munich alarm followed days of security warnings in Europe of the possibility of a shooting or bomb attack before the New Year. Here's more.
Things are returning to normal inside Munich's central train station just hours after German police closed it down due to an attack threat. Police received a tip hours before midnight that Islamic State militants from Iraq and Syria were planning suicide attacks. The central station and the pausing station were both closed for several hours. Munich police president Hubertus André says they believe 5 to 7 suicide bombers were planning to take part in the attack.
At the moment, we are in a situation in which we received names. We can't say if they are in Munich or in fact in Germany.
The threat came as Europe entered the new year under a state of heightened alert, 7 weeks after 130 people were killed in a Paris attack claimed by Islamic State. Bavarian Interior Minister Joachim Herrmann says security will remain vigilant.
We are well prepared, but everybody also knows that no one can give a 100% guarantee that such attacks won't be carried out. I think that most people in our country are aware of this without becoming scared and alarmed.
The Munich alarm follows days of security warnings across Europe, warnings German security forces think will persist into 2016.
Clouds of smoke continue to waft today from a 63-floor luxury hotel in Dubai that was engulfed in flames on New Year's Eve. Authorities in Dubai are trying to find out what caused the fire to engulf the address downtown hotel in the city center. Firefighters managed to subdue the blaze, but part of the hotel is still smoldering. The blaze started on the 20th floor of the building on the outside of the 300-meter tower, and the flames soared to near the top of the building within seconds. The tower was evacuated and 16 people suffered minor injuries. However, the highly anticipated New Year's Eve festivities went ahead as planned. Cheering crowds of onlookers watched as bursts of color filled the sky around the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building. As 2015 came to an end, cities around the world celebrated the start of a new year and bid goodbye to one marred by terrorist attacks. In France, Parisians still recovering from deadly attacks in November held scaled-down celebrations. Before the light show at the Champs-Élysées, a floating French flag projected onto the Arc de Triomphe and the French national anthem struck a defiant note. The London Eye provided the backdrop to a stunning fireworks display in the British capital as thousands ushered in the start of the new year along the banks of the River Thames. In New York City's Times Square, more than 1 million gathered to celebrate the arrival of 2016 with the traditional dropping of the New Year's Eve crystal ball. The transition to the new year was marked by the descent of the ball from atop a skyscraper amid fireworks and showers of confetti. It's up to you, And in Brazil, some 2 million people dressed in white packed Rio de Janeiro's scenic Copacabana beach to ring in the new year and enjoy the city's massive fireworks display. Many followed the traditional custom of skipping over 7 waves, throwing flowers into the ocean and making wishes. Brazil is one of the first countries in the Americas to bring in the new year. Rafa Nadal and Milos Raonic will meet in the final of the 6-man Mubadala World Tennis Championship in Abu Dhabi after they progressed through their respective semi-final matches. Former world number 1 Nadal overcame fellow Spaniard David Ferrer 6-3, 6-7, 6-3. Nadal took control of the third set early, racing to a 3-love lead before eventually claiming the victory against Ferrer's serve. In the second semi-final, Milos Raonic stunned Switzerland Stanislas Wawrinka 7-5, 7-5 to progress to the final. At one stage, Wawrinka was leading, but a string of unforced errors allowed Raonic back into the contest. The final is tomorrow. A hardy group of Romans braved a cold, misty rain and threw themselves off a bridge in Rome into the freezing waters of the Tiber River. The annual Tiber dive has been celebrated on the first day of the new year since 1946. This year, only 3 divers took the plunge, some with more style than others, plummeting off the 30-meter bridge in the center of the Italian capital. Security has been tight in Rome over the holiday season, and most onlookers who had gathered to watch the Tiber dive said they had considered security issues before coming down to the event. And finally, to the weather outlook. Extremely cold weather with heavy downpour is expected to continue to affect most parts of the country, bringing more snowfall in the northern, central and southern mountains. Snowfall is forecast to extend to regions above 800 meters of sea level, while winds will be northwesterly and gusty at 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. The cold snap is expected to continue tomorrow with more rain and snow. Frost formation is also expected nationwide. The Gulf of Aqaba should expect cold and partly cloudy conditions with northerly moderate to brisk winds and high seas. The weatherman warns of possible flood formation in valleys and low-lying areas, poor visibility due to low-altitude clouds and fog, and of strong winds. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. And to close here our top stories once again. Israel hands over the bodies of 23 Palestinians from different areas of the occupied West Bank killed over the past 3 months, but still holds 50 bodies. Terrified families in Ramadi wave white flags as they emerge from their homes, as government troops are still battling Daesh terrorists holed up days after the army recaptured the city center. And the world bids 2015 goodbye and ushers in 2016 with fireworks and celebrations. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Balka. Thank you for watching and stay warm.